Hello and welcome to The Agent is In. We've got a special Thanksgiving episode today. Well, I didn't prepare a whole lot. Sorry, Cody. There was a couple of questions recently, and I thought they were interesting, so I just wanted to cover those real quick. Could you let me share my screen?
Yeah, let me enable that.
Everybody would like to give thanks for some org mode.
All right, you should be good.
All right, let's see here. All right. So these were the three questions that kind of came up recently. A couple of them came up on the list. Something else came up elsewhere. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. Recently, somebody was trying to get the list of all of the network interfaces that were present on the system. Sys.interfaces only contains the configured interfaces and not the interfaces which are not configured. So I was pointing out that sys.interfaces data contains a whole lot of information. Let's see here. Let me get a terminal. All right. And one of the things that I was showing them with that is that you can do CF promises, show vars. Oh. There we go. So you can just dump all of the variables that are available that the agent's going to detect by default. If we scroll up here, I think, so here's sys interfaces. It's just a list of interfaces, but then here we have sys interfaces data. So there's a whole lot more information in here about the interfaces, how many bytes have been transmitted, etc. And part of this data structure, device, there we go. I believe, it's actually keyed by the interface name. So this data structure here, which is maybe not super easy to read. Let's see here. Can I just grab this? And let's see here. Try that. No, not going to reformat it for me. There we go. Much easier to read. All right, so you can see here, sys interfaces data is keyed on the interface name. So if you're trying to get the list of interfaces that you configure on, you can pull the index off of that. So here we're going to pull get indices off of sys.interfaces data into this list sys interfaces data keys, and then we can simply iterate over that list and print out all of the interfaces that we found. So if I run that, here are all of the interfaces that are on my system right now. So just a couple of things there. There's all kinds of interesting variables that CFEngine populates with interesting information. And show vars, not cars. You can dump that list of them. Not right. There it is. You can dump the list so you can see the variable name, the value, and then tags that are associated with it. Super useful because you can tell that this is a variable that is built into the binary versus variables that are coming from, I don't think I have any here because I don't have any policy sitting here. Source equals policy if it comes from some policy that you've written. So a couple of things there I wanted to say about. And let me collapse this so that it's easier for me to work with. And then there was another question where someone was trying to match an IP address using a regular expression. This is pretty much what they had. So they had this variable for the IP regex they were trying to search for. And then they were trying to see if the regular expression would match the IP address. And of course, if you run this, it does not find the IP. Found is not defined. The issue here is simply just kind of a little typo in the regex, right? We need to search for the dot explicitly and then anything more than once. So if I add that extra dot here and I run it again, we'll see that it found the IP. But that's not really what I wanted to highlight. What I wanted to highlight was don't use regular expressions to match IP addresses. Instead, you can use the IP range and is IP in subnet functions. Let me see here. I pull up these docs. So here's IP range. You can see that it takes a range of IPs and then optionally an interface name. So you can search for an IP range like this, or you can use the CIDR notation. And then you can, if you don't target a specific interface, it'll be any interface on the system. Targeting a specific interface is very useful when you've got a host that is bridging maybe multiple networks and you're trying to figure something a little bit more specifically out. So instead of using a regex, use IP range or is IP in subnet, which is similar. Takes a range, and then you can feed it IP addresses that you want to find out if they're in the range. So is this IP address in this range? Also useful. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about quickly, because as you can tell, I've got turkey to eat, is system log level in body common control. So this is not new. This has been here for a very long time. Let's see here. 3.7 is when it was introduced. Wait, that's TLS ciphers. Here we go. System log level. Introduced in 3.19, 3.18.1. So I guess maybe it's a little bit newer than I thought. But this controls the minimum log level for messages that go to the system log or the Windows event log. You might want to, for example, increase this and set this to critical so that you don't have output from promises, warnings, or notices, or really lower level policy related stuff that you want to suppress from those system logs. So you can use this. It's in body common control. And we'll see here, it was recently, we recently exposed this up to be configurable via augments. Let's see here. Let me jump over to the master docs. And let me look at the master files policy framework, system log level. Here it is. Configure the minimum log level for system log. So if you define the variable def dot control common system log level in augments, you can control that. So the NPF has been instrumented for that. This is being added in 3.25. So it's in master right now, but it'll be out in 3.25 and it may be backported to the other LTS branches. So that's really the couple of things that I had barely prepared to just kind of highlight. Did anybody who showed up have questions? Anything else that you want to talk about before I run away to eat a turkey?
So why do you oppose regular expressions for IP addresses?
Oh, let's see here. Well, notoriously, IP address or regular expressions are difficult. It's really easy to make mistakes. It's not that it's terribly bad, but it can be actually pretty hard to craft good regular expressions that match IP addresses. They're definitely hard to read, and frankly, yeah, I just wouldn't do it, especially since there are easier ways. I guess if you have, I mean, I can definitely imagine cases where maybe a regular expression would be a better fit for a specific organization, where you've got maybe some large subnets and or chunked subnets or something like that. But I think generally speaking, you're probably asking for just a little bit of a problem with making the
Well,
right
I use them to validate IP addresses.
to make sure that they're valid, or
Yeah, because I have an application that stores MAC addresses, IP addresses, and names, and also pointer address, pointer records in a DNS. So you want to make sure that the IP addresses are right.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess that's a little bit it's a little bit different of a use case, I suppose. If you're only making sure that it is a valid IP address, I would say that it still might be easier to do that with IP range. Let me see here. Let's see. If I grab this one. So that's a reg comp. And then there's IP range. I have the doc for that up over here. IP range is the range. And then
2 times found.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if I can just do this. Oh, didn't find it on there. I don't know what the full range. Can I do 32? Would that work?
No, I believe it's not 0 in the end.
Yeah. I thought it was like this too, but that doesn't seem to work for this. I don't think that yeah, that's something to check out. That's an interesting idea. I would still say that for validating, rather than using like a regular expression, well, maybe it's faster, maybe it's not. But I would still say that it would definitely be easier to read.
Oh yes, I'm on board. We're on the same page when it comes to the ability to read a policy like that.
Yeah.
But you don't scramble them through your code. You just have them in one place, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, validation I think is a little bit different story maybe than that's kind of a different use case than like, hey, is this host going to be like in this subset, right? That's where I don't know. I think the validation is an interesting use case, and that's an interesting, cool thing to check to make sure that you're not putting something invalid in, right? If you're consuming some data source, like you're saying, and then you want to make sure that you're not writing something bad.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, that's a.
Well, I'll post it in a day or two. No, not in a day or two. When it's ready, I'll post it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Anybody else? Questions? Comments?
Oh yes, the logs. That was the CFEngine log or the system. The system. No, not the.
This one.
The
system log level.
Yeah, the only CFEngine log, right? What's
no? This is for this controls to the system log.
Oh, okay.
So there is what is the name of the?
Because the way it is done in Debian 12, for instance, is way different than it was in Debian 11. They completely changed logging.
Oh, for the system, like the system logging, or
yeah, it's now all journal.
They still have the shim though, like I think, right? You still have a syslog file. It's just that the journal writes to that file. this still should control. This still controls that. Like even if you're using the journal-based syslog. Let's see here. Let's look up system log level. There's another one. I thought there was another one. Syslog host. No, maybe I'm thinking of something different. So there's not one to prevent what CFEngine logs, but there are regular expressions that you can configure which will limit what CFEngine mails. So if execd is configured to send emails about differences in execution outputs between runs, you can filter those based off of positive or negative regular expressions, like exclude these lines or only include these lines, so that you don't overwhelm your mail server. But there's not. And then there's just the kind of the standard CFEngine log levels that you can change, and then there's a configuration option which allows you to increase the log level of individual promises. That is, I think it's here. Yeah, log level. Log string.
Log level. You were. Yeah.
Yep. So in an action body, you can specify a log level, and then you can attach that action body to a specific promise to make that specific promise have a higher log level verbosity. So if you're doing some kind of debugging and maybe you want some verbose logs and you want that over a longer period of time, but maybe you don't want the entire CFEngine run to be a verbose log level because it's going to fill up your disks with all kinds of text. You could then come through and attach increased log levels to specific promises that you're interested in.
Great.
That's a good one. Let's see here. Log string. Log level. Increase the screen sharing really makes the stuff lag for me. Okay, cool. Any other questions? Comments?
I don't see anything else in the chat either. A short and sweet episode for the Thanksgiving holiday.
The chat is blocked.
Interesting.
You want to unblock the chat so people can have an opportunity?
Okay, I do see a question from Stefan here. Is it possible to use a special inform action on the use bundle call to get a bit more specific?
Man, that goes almost directly to this. So yes, you can do the same thing. You can attach an action body with an increased log level to a use bundle call, but no, all the promises that are children or in that bundle or in other subsequently called bundles, they don't necessarily inherit or they don't inherit that log level. So you would have to instrument it very specifically if you want to do it that way. Though there is another trick, which let me pull up the docs for that one. Let's see here. Yes, default action body. Let's see here. Action body. Default. Let's see here. Let's try to look at the action body docs. Maybe it's over here. There we go. Default bodies. So this wouldn't necessarily cover everything, and this actually might go too wide for what you're looking for, because this kind of applies to all. This would be to all promises that don't have a body of a specific type. You can automatically attach a default action body. So this still wouldn't quite be what you're looking for, to like an easy way to, hey, verbosely log this bundle and all of the promises in it, and if it calls another bundle, verbosely log all of those. I think that's a valid use case. Maybe we should have a feature request for that. But another thing that you can do that's related to that is this default body, right? So in order to do this, you have to define these bodies in the body default namespace, just like this. And then, for example, here, we are making an action body that defaults for all files promises. So any files promise that doesn't have action or an action body already attached would get this one attached by default, and it would turn all of those files promises into warning only. So it's just going to say, hey, I want to edit this file. Very similar to what you see from dry run. But
there's also a bit more context in the QA. I don't know if you can pull that up, Nick.
Yeah, let me just grab this link here. Chat? No.
It's in the QA section.
More QA. Oh, it's in the QA.
Yeah.
IP range. Is it possible to use special inform action on the bundle? So no. Not exactly. Call action info use bundle. Right. Yes. Yeah. So I don't think there was anything new in there, but no, there's no way to increase the log level for a collection of promises kind of all at once like that. But like I said, I do think that that's a reasonable feature request. I think it would make sense to be able to do that, to be able to attach to a use bundle call and then increase the verbosity of all of the promises from that point on. I think that could definitely help with some debugging. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, that looks like it, at least in the chat in the QA section.
All right. Well, I guess you can stick a fork in it. It's done.
Nice pun. There you go.
Yeah.
Good way to end it.
Turkey for you. Let's eat the turkey in my big brown shoe. Turkey for me. Turkey for you.
I can't stop it. Yeah. That's Adam Sandler.
Oh,
Wait.
hopefully we don't get a copyright strike on YouTube because of that now.
Well, that was less than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Is it possible to change the order in which promises are evaluated? For example, all classes before vars. Okay. No.
Well, classes are always executed first, right? From my point.
No.
No?
Maybe. It depends on the bundle, right? Docs. Let's see here. Open. All right. So if we go and take a look at the language concepts for bundles. Is it not here? Normal order. There it is. Okay, so you dig down into the pre-evaluation, right? So this is kind of like a little thing that's related to CFEngine development. Before you get to that normal 3-pass evaluation that you have as you're used to, right? This is the agent evaluation step, right? So when you hit that 3-pass evaluation, it's doing the promises in this order: meta, vars, defaults, classes, users, files, etc. But when the files are actually being parsed, there's this pre-evaluation that's happening, because CFEngine is very eager about trying to resolve variables and classes so that you can use those variables and classes for other decisions. So if it's a common bundle, it will do a 1-pass evaluation on the vars as it parses that. If it's a common bundle, it'll do then classes. And then if it's not common bundle, right, if it's an agent bundle, then it will just evaluate the vars. So you get variables resolved first before classes in both cases, right? Pre-evaluation, if it's common bundle, you get vars, then classes, then vars again. If it's an agent bundle, you get vars, and then when you hit the 3-pass evaluation, you get vars before classes again. And as far as changing that order, not holistically, not all at once. You can't just choose to say, hey, I want users to always happen before vars. You can influence the order of specific promises using depends on and handle. All right, so we got vars and then promise 1. All right, and then you can do handle 1, and then actually reports are probably a better way to see it. 1, 2, handle 1, depends on 2. Get rid of this. This over here. 2, 2. This depends on nothing. All right, so I can use this to influence the order of specific promises. It's another way. It's weaker than using classes to order things, because this promise is only going to run when the promise with handle 2 has been seen to be kept or repaired. Either one of those 2 conditions opens that gate. So let's grab that. Comment that out for a second. So if I run it like that, then you can see that I get the promise 2 before 1. I don't need this commented out. And then if I were to delete that and run it, then I would get 1 before 2. Specific promises, use classes, or depends on. We have talked many times about the evaluation engine and being able to configure it. Someday we may see the ability to flip the mode from kind of the normal order, predefined order of promises, to written order, where you would then be able to do things like vars something happen here. So it's not there. All right, where you could do that, and then you could come along like this. You could do this today. It's just that the order of the way that things are written has no effect on the execution. It's going to do this one, and then it would do this one before it came in and dealt with reports. But we have discussed introducing that kind of option to flip the mode from normal order to written order. I think there are definitely some cases where written order might be more readable and more easier to understand for people.
Well, I also have one case in which it mattered. The order of the bundles, the written order.
What was that?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Interesting. It should not matter.
I know.
If you do this, it should go top to bottom.
Yeah.
The type, all of the variables of whatever type in the normal order. So if there's a case that you've seen where that's not the case, that's interesting. We should get a ticket logged if we haven't and try to understand why that is. But
I have to remember. I don't know which policy it was.
Cool. Other questions? No?
Looks like it's it so far.
All right. Well, I guess we can call that a wrap. Episode 43, special Thanksgiving. I don't know. Thanks everybody for asking questions. I appreciate it. It's some, interesting questions, and I love reading and looking at policy. So that's what I wanted to do.
Okay. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, everybody.